of students have mentioned networking. I think as when we were doing our rose thorn activity yesterday, like that was a thing that people had concerns with. Raise your hand if just like getting out and talking with random people is something you just love doing. That is more hands than I thought I would see. I would also like it to be clear, my hand did not go up. So, follow-up question. How many folks think it might be useful to have maybe some tools to take out there with you when you want to try to do this networking that we've been suggesting you do? I think you have a very able and interested and engaged audience. Okay, so this is great. So our next session is going to be about networking and informational interviewing. So we'll get to do some skill building around that. And leading us is going to be Dr. Anita Gooding from the University of Portland, School of Social Work? School of Social, yeah.
Thank you. What a warm welcome. It's post-lunch on whatever day it is, afternoon, and y'all are here with energy, and I appreciate that because I feed off of that. So happy to be here. My name's Anita. Pronouns are she, her. I teach at University of Portland currently, but I actually graduated from PSU's School of Social Work with my PhD last year. So this is the first time, thank you, the first time I've been on campus in person, and it was wild. I was like, oh yeah, the green zebra, that's where that's at. And oh yeah, my boba place is in this corner. So I got to walk around after, but enough of that about my tour of PSU. I'm here to talk to you about networking and informational interviewing. And for me, the goal is for you to just kind of learn about what these words are and what it is, and kind of open up your mind a little bit from the assumptions about what we think when we hear about networking. And I really want you to leave this presentation with a sense of what feels authentic to you when it comes to reaching out and networking with folks. And we'll be doing a speed dating activity a little later on, so you'll get to practice some of the things that we're going to talk about throughout this presentation. And then we'll be doing a couple of small group activities at your table as well. So get ready to do a little bit of talking for the next hour and a half. I'll just give a little bit more information about me too, in case you're interested. So I started in social work. I would say I did my MSW. I graduated from that in 2012, and most of my social work experience has been around issues of sexual health. So I did HIV/AIDS treatment education for folks living with HIV for about 3 years. I did outpatient therapy for LGBTQIA identified folks in Philly, where I was, and then I eventually transitioned into higher ed, and I was a social work field director. So I placed bachelors of social work students into their field practicums or their internships that they needed to do in order to get supervised hours in order to graduate. And eventually I transitioned into the PhD program, and currently my research is around the intersections of race and social work education. My dissertation was on the social work concept use of self, which is how we use aspects of our personhood, so things like humor and self-disclosure, to build connections with people, and through that connections help them facilitate change. And I was looking at race as a component of that. So just a little bit about my research, since y'all are doing your research thing. Okay, all right, enough of that, let's jump in. So what are we talking about today? So we're gonna talk about networking and overview. We're gonna talk explicitly about what informational interviewing is. We're gonna talk about how you prepare to reach out to folks, how you follow up to folks after you have contacted them and made contact with them, maybe met with them for an interview. And then we're gonna close by doing a speed dating activity at the end, and then leave a little bit of time for processing. So when I was first introduced to networking, I'd probably say in undergrad, because I had no other reason to really think about it before then. And the way that I was told was, you got to go to these big events, and you got to show up, and you got to, talk to people that you don't know. And that was always horrifying to me, because I'm an introvert. That is not the way I roll. It's not comfortable for me at all. And so I would show up to these events and be very awkward. And if I talked to one person, I talked to a million people, right? Because I didn't even talk to one person, barely. I was like in the corner, drinking water. And so I want you now to take a second and think about some of the assumptions that you had about networking, and also some of the concerns maybe that you have. And I'm going to ask 2 to 3 people to report back, not a huge group, but just take a moment to think about what are some of the assumptions you have about networking, and then what are some of your concerns about it. All right. Oh, I guess I'm gonna try to project too. But yeah, what do we got? What are some assumptions that y'all have about networking? Please, and if you could just say your name too. Yeah. Did everyone hear that? Just a feeling of not necessarily belonging to that group is a concern. One and then two.
One of my major concerns is maybe not talking to the right person when networking. They could be involved in something else that I don't want to be involved in, and they could be giving me wrong advice versus, talking to the right person. So that's something that concerns me.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so talking to the right person. I'm just repeating it to make sure everyone hears. Thanks. Yeah.
One of the assumptions that I have is that I need to talk with a lot of people before I figure it out what is what is my channel, what is the right person.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of my assumptions, that I need to talk until I find the person that, or the people, or the organization that it really fits me.
Mm-hmm. Skip all the riffraff. Let's get to whoever it is you need to talk to.
Yeah. And another assumption that I have is that oh, sure, that was me. Another assumption is that I need to be like super prepared to go and do networking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. These are all, yeah. Go ahead.
So for me, I have two. One of my fears is, like some of the others, is not connecting with the right person. So wondering that I'm going to spend my time talking to a bunch of people that I could have probably not connected with instead of the one person I wanted to connect with. A fear I have is that I don't have anything to offer a great group of smart people.
Thank you for that. I appreciate all of your answers to that. One, because that's real, and I have felt similarly throughout my career. Even here, I'm like, what do I have to add to this conversation, right? I feel like often we have to check in with ourselves on the fact that we do have a lot to add and we do have a lot of knowledge, and people want to hear from us, right? But these are all things that I definitely felt as well, so I hear you, and I appreciate all your feedback on that. We're going to be able to process through some of that too during this presentation. Okay, so what is networking? So networking is the act or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. So this can be conversations with your classmates, conversations if you go to conferences, meetings like this. It can be coffee shops. When I first moved to Portland, one of the first things I was told was beware of the grocery line because people are going to really talk you up on the grocery line, and it's true. And that's networking too, because you never know who you're going to talk to and what kind of conversation you're going to have. And I'll say, like, one of the reasons that I'm here is I had a meeting with Dr. Keller, who was one of my professors, and he was like, hey, I'm a part of this Build Exito thing. Do you want to come through and do a presentation? And here I am, and I've been doing it for a few years now, right, just from that contact. So you really never know who's around you and who those people have access to as well. And networking, one of the main reasons that we do it is to build social capital. Have you all heard about social capital? Okay, a couple of folks. So it basically is the idea that through relationship is really where we are able to get to the next level, right? So let's say, let's talk about like let me backtrack a little bit. So social capital is all about how we can use our relationship to move forward in our career. So I am connected, let's say, to the social work community at the University of Portland, right? And there are folks here who are connected to the social work community at PSU, social community at around the whole country, right? And so for me, when I'm connecting with people and I'm thinking about social capital, it's about building relationships with people and thinking about the networks that they have access to. Because I'll tell you, every single job that I've gotten, it's been not just through sort of messaging on job ads, but through relationships. So people saying, hey, Anita, I saw this job posted. I thought you would fit really well. I think you should apply, right? That's social capital. That's someone reaching out to you within your social network, right, and using the capital that they have to grant you access into their own networks, right? And that's really powerful, because when we think about the world today, so much of it is about who you know, right? Because you can be the most talented, amazing person, and if you're not connected, it can be really hard for you to have access and opportunities. So networking is about you connecting with folks and building your social capital so that you have networks and avenues to advance your career in whatever way that looks. And not just your career, too. I want to say for your personal development, I sometimes just reach out to folks. I have 2 young kids. So my social capital right now is around parenting and talking to other parents and learning about their experience and how they are dealing with the terrible twos and all of that. I slump because, boy, it's rough. So all of that, it's not just about careers, I want to say, but just about how we can really build relationships with people, and access their mind and their social networks. And it can happen anywhere. Like I said, coffee shops can happen here. I always tell my students that the people in your class, these are the folks that you go off and practice social work with. And so they're going to get your resume across their desk one day, and they might be like, this person said that one thing, not really sure what, right? So like even in these places, especially in small communities, right, classrooms are really like big places for social capital as well. Okay, informational interviewing, what's this? So this is one form of networking. Other kinds of networking include social media sites like LinkedIn. That's another kind of networking tool that folks use. You can go on there and learn more about organizations, learn more about individuals. Another, folks use Instagram, Facebook, right? If someone is selling, I don't know, great jewelry, and you reach out to them, you can network through that way. All of these kind of social media sites can be used for that. Attending conferences, discipline-specific events, with people that you want to. But I'm talking specifically here about informational interviewing as one kind of networking, because by far, this is my favorite kind, because I said I'm an introvert. I very much prefer one-to-one conversations. If you are not, that's good too. You can go off and enjoy those big events. But for me, I really like the opportunity to really connect with someone one-to-one and really learn from them and really get a chance to build a relationship. Because at the end of the day, networking is about relationship. It's not just about handing out business cards, but it's about really genuinely connecting with someone and having a give and take, right? So if I'm reaching out to someone to learn more about, let's say what they're doing with Juneteenth here in Oregon, I'm gonna reach out and learn more, and I'm gonna say, here's the knowledge and information I have. How can I support you, right? And then it's about relationship, and it's not just about taking. So again, that's why I really enjoy this one. And it really involves one person who's aspiring towards something, reaching out to someone who's currently in that career, currently in that space, and talking with them one-on-one about how they got there. So how do we prepare for that? The one thing that I really want to highlight, I would say, and this kind of came up a little bit when we're asking about assumptions and concerns, is to really focus your energy on quality over quantity. So don't just say, I need to make sure that I talk to 20 people, right? Because maybe those aren't the 20 people that you need to talk to. But to really take time before to think about who are the kinds of people you want to talk to and why. And think about your goals, because that'll help you really narrow it down so that you're spending your energy, your precious energy and your precious time targeted towards folks that are going to meet your needs, right, and help you meet your goals. So you want to ask yourself things like, what is it that you want to learn about specifically? How will that knowledge move you forward? Who do you know that can provide that information or that can connect you to someone that can provide that information? What can you offer in return, right? These are some ideas that can help you really narrow down to avoid getting overwhelmed and not really talking to the right people. So in pairs, I'd like you to think about your current social network, your friends, your family, your colleagues, your classmates, the person you just met at the grocery store, and answer these 3 questions, right? What is it that you want to learn more about? Who do you know that can help you provide that? And then what can you offer in return? I'll give you just a couple minutes to talk to each other about that, and then we're going to come back. 1 more minute. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So hopefully in those 2 minutes you are fully prepared and are aware of, you have all your goals lined up, ready to go. And I'll just say that, I don't know that you only had just a few minutes, but hopefully this is just kind of getting you started. And when you have the time and the capacity to think on this more, right, you will spend more time thinking on it before you jump into networking. But now that you're officially prepared, let's do some outreach. So you've identified a contact. The next thing that you need to figure out is what's the best way to reach out to the person based on what I know of them or what I was told is the best way they will answer. Some people still answer their phones, including me. Some people just text works. Some people are fine with email. Some people prefer through professional channels like LinkedIn. Some people prefer their personal email. Some people prefer their work email, right? So just figure out what the best way is to increase your chance of them responding. And then I've just included a sample email that is something that it's just modified from something that I'd used when I was reaching out to folks. So subject of the email, conversation about equity and inclusion. I include the salutation, Dear Dr. Smith, I'm Anita, I'm a doc student. Your colleague, this person, so you want to make sure you name drop so that they're aware there's a connection there. Recommended I reach out due to our shared interest in equity and inclusion within social work education. So be really clear about what the tie is. I would like the opportunity to connect and learn more about work you're doing, ask a few questions related to my career. So there's a specific ask there. Would you have 45 minutes to spare? There's a specific time limit, right? So it's not like, hey, can we just chat? Right? People don't, that's like a free-for-all. People don't necessarily have the time or the energy. So be really clear, can we chat for half an hour? Can we chat for 45 minutes? At whatever time or place is convenient for you, right? Sometime in the next 2 weeks, right? So try to put a time limit on it. Thank you in advance. I look forward to hearing from you. If you have not heard back, I encourage you to reach out. I'd say etiquette is, a week. If you haven't heard back, you can reach out. But if you continue to not hear back, I would let it go and move on to someone else because clearly that person isn't ready or able to talk to you and are maybe not in a place to be able to give you the information that you need anyway, right? So it's a good opportunity and time to move on to some other folks, go back to your goals, the questions that you had, think about quality over quantity. Who else can I reach out to? So tips someone responded, you are having that one-on-one informational interview with them, what's happening? So do your homework ahead of time, be aware of who this person is, right? That you're talking to, the kinds of things that they've done that interest you, the organization or groups that they're a part of, right? All of this, do your homework so that you go in and show that you're there and you know what you're talking about and you're ready to have a really clear, directed conversation about this topic. Prepare open-ended questions ahead of time. So things like, what got you interested in this career? What did you wish you knew at the beginning? Who else would you recommend I speak to? Be interested. So stay curious about what people bring up. If you have a list of questions and the conversation isn't really going in that direction, but it's going in somewhere else that's maybe equally useful, right? Stay curious in that direction and continue the conversation there. And this take time out bit is really related to what we talked about earlier around if you're continuing to find that you're not talking to the right people, take time out, reassess, go back, ask yourself some questions about what your real intent is, so that you don't stress yourself out and you're really using your time at its best. So I want to ask you now. We're going to transition to our speed dating in a few minutes, but what are some other kind of great questions you think would be nice to ask folks during an informational interview? Some good open-ended questions. I got my eyes in the back right now because I realize I haven't been giving y'all enough love back there, so I see you. All the rows in the back. What are some great open-ended questions? No, we talked to folks that haven't talked yet. Let's get some hands. Yeah, I see two in the back. Okay, go ahead. What are some great skills that I can start building right now? Okay, great. All right. Some others? Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm actually blanking now. I guess, like, what courses do you wish that you took in university that you would recommend I take at the beginning?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, good.
Thank you.
You gained that back fast. That was good. Good memory recovery. Yeah. All right, let's get one more. Yeah, go ahead. Ooh, okay. What's new with your research project? Great. Good. Okay, y'all are ready for this speed dating situation that we're going to have going on. Okay, good. Okay, so a couple more slides and then we'll transition. In terms of following up after you have this lovely informational interview, follow up within 48 hours. Clearly state at least one thing that you learned. And if your contact said they would follow up in some way, be sure to check in with them about the thing that they said they would follow up with. So here's a sample email. Thank you for meeting with me last week. I really appreciated this very specific thing, learning about your dissertation, your grad experience, your insights around the job market and academia were also super helpful. I had a meeting with my chair yesterday, and it seemed the biggest gap is around my theories. If you know of any theories worth exploring or text to help me find ideas, I would really appreciate it. Thanks again, and I look forward to staying in touch. And so that gives an opening if there's another question that you have, or maybe something that you brought up of interest to them, that they can reach out to you as well, and you can continue that relationship. So it doesn't have to be just a one-off, and ideally it's not, because the mentors that I've had in my career, I've had for a really long time, because we really invest in that relationship and in each other. So, so stay in touch if there's a reason for you to stay in touch. Last things to remember, your contact will not necessarily get you a job, so please don't go in with the mindset of employment only, because then you lose sight of a lot of other things that they might have to offer in their network. Your contact does not have all the time in the world, so be aware of how much you're asking of them. They may not know everything, so if you're interested in child welfare and the person that you're talking to does sexual health, right, that's not really the place that you need to be, but maybe they know folks that can connect you to that, right? So don't expect them to know every single thing. Make sure that you have a really clear goal for every interview. So, in this meeting, I want to learn about their courses, right? If that's your clear goal because you're going to use it for when you're registering for classes next term, great, right? You can achieve your goal. And again, lastly, I want to really reiterate, it's a give and take, it's about relationships, and the importance of really staying curious. And right, if we're, I don't know, that's one of the things I really enjoy. I can talk to folks about most everything because I'm really curious about folks. Like, what did you eat? Why did you eat that? When did you eat? You know, like I have a lot of questions. So stay curious around this because there's a lot you have to offer and there's a lot that they have to offer as well. So the final thing is I want you to just take a moment here. We won't have time to journal about it, but take a moment as we close and get ready to transition into speed dating to think about what you know about your strengths and your own challenges. And given these, how can you approach networking in a way that feels authentic to you? So I want you to take a second, just really think about that. What needs to happen to make it feel authentic to you? All right. I want to leave time for just maybe a question or two if folks have some. I don't. I feel bad just kind of jumping into the next thing. But do folks have questions or open-ended question? What questions do you have about the presentation? None is cool too, but you know. Networking or in life? Well, the networking stuff. It's funny because I remember being asked to do this, and I was like, that's interesting. But then it really, because I think Dr. Keller said that he saw me really just talking with everyone on the floor generally. Like I just had really good relationships with folks, and he thought that it would make sense to this presentation. So I honestly hadn't thought about what I was doing as networking like explicitly until sort of thinking about and building these presentations. But so for me, it really comes from just kind of my social work interest in people and my clinical training, I think. But I was really shy as a kid, and I still think of myself as really shy. But I'm also very people oriented, and yeah, I don't know. It's a big question, but I think the networking thing is that sort of specific, and then just in terms of like conversations with folks, I think it's just I'm a people person, I think. Okay, let's transition to speed dating, just because of time. Dr. Keller, did you? Oh, okay.
When Anita had a course with me, she was very good about scheduling a time to come in and just talk about what we were discussing in class and showed an interest in the content. And I also knew from my colleagues that everybody was talking about Anita and what a great student she was and how they enjoyed working with her. And when you hear that from 2 or 3 other people, you say, hey, you know, this is a special person who's really becoming part of the school, you know, really engaging effectively. So that's why I thought, you know, she was demonstrating these skills, even if she didn't realize, you know, didn't have an intentional strategy from the beginning and now you've shown that you can dissect your your approach and share it with others. So, yeah, it's just something we recognized in you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, let's do our speed dating. I always like to put an asterisk for you, all you pro speed daters out there. Don't judge me because I've never speed dated, but it's just an activity, okay? What I'll have you do is table 30. You're gonna wherever that is, you're gonna merge into some other tables, but we're gonna have the scholars stay still, and a faculty and staff member is gonna rotate around so that each table would get an opportunity to take turns asking questions to that faculty and staff about an area of interest to you, right? So you get to practice some of these open-ended questions to faculty and staff that are here. I want to say thank you so much for those of you who have shown up to answer questions on behalf of scholars and students. I really appreciate you being here and really helping to move this activity forward. So thank you all for rotating tables and sharing your expertise. So 12-minute rounds. We'll do 2-minute warning in between. Faculty and staff will rotate tables. I'll be walking around, just kind of listening and checking in with you. We should not have any tables without faculty and staff, so ignore that warning. So I'll give folks like a minute to just set up in each table, and then once everyone's set up, if you could just raise your hand once the table is ready, and we can start. Okay, I see one hand, the table's ready. Two, okay. Okay. Is this table, have anybody in front here? Are y'all set up? Everyone's good? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna start a timer, a 12-minute timer, where you can, talk, do a little bit of networking, have fun. I'll be back in 12 minutes. Go. especially for y'all. I'm wondering, what were some questions that were asked that you thought, oh, that's a really good question, and you think others might use it in their networking journey? So for the mentors, what are some good questions that got thrown at you?
There was a really great question that I got. They said, "What shocked you? What shocked you when you started research? Was there anything that was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was going to be like this?" I was like, "Ooh, I don't know," but like, yeah, and I was just like, "What shocks me?" That was what I had to think about first. But it was a great question because, like, yeah, what was I not prepared for when I first started research? So that was cool.
Yeah, I like that.
One of the questions that I think it was Evelyn who asked me was, how about like the length of time it takes for you to get your PhD? Like, you know, I don't know if I'm phrasing that correctly. Like, did you ever get discouraged by the length of time it would take to get a PhD? And I was like, those years are going to pass anyway, so might as well get a doctorate at the end of those years and not have one.
That's a good answer. Yeah. Nice. Any other good questions? Yeah.
One question that came up at every table I was at was whether my path to research was circuitous. I guess they could tell looking at me that it was. Because, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Any more final questions? One more? Yeah. Hope y'all are taking notes on all these great questions that your peers are asking.
So one question that was asked to me was, do I have any regrets? And I said no. Even though like the path has been very bumpy at times, I feel like the programs that I've been a part of, Build Exito, McNair, and Honors, have been very supportive. I've utilized a lot of resources here at PSU, and I would not change anything.
All right. So now I'm going to turn the spotlight on to you, scholars. I'd love to hear from a couple folks about what you are taking with you from the workshop, from the speed dating. What are you walking out here with? Yeah. Just say more about just say yes. Okay. No regrets. It's true. It's true. It's true. All right. Let's get a couple more. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice. All right. Let's hear from a couple more folks. Don't be shy. We're almost done. Be brave. Yeah.
I kind of seem like whether you take a straight line path or a zigzag. It seemed common, like whether you took a straight line path or quite a bit of a zigzag, that you could still find something successful and fulfilling. And at different times in life, that may mean different things. So that was pretty motivating to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I learned that. I learned that you can do everything right in your studies, but there will always be external factors that'll divert that. So if you really want something, you just got to keep going at it despite those factors.
Yeah. Put that on a t-shirt. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get one more. I joke that I start to sing sometimes on the mic, so let's get a hand before.
I learned to not ask super personal, well, I guess personal questions, not really personal, but like too in-depth, such as, how do you feel about nuclear energy as a renewable resource?
All right. Cool. Well, thank y'all for that. Do you mind just turning to the last slide? I'm just gonna leave my my contact information here with you. That's my email address, just my last name at up.edu. If you are shy and you want to, maybe you won't come up to me today, maybe you'll send me an email. I'd love to talk to you about anything and everything, if it would be helpful for you. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And the last thing I always like to say as I'm kind of wrapping up this presentation is for you to remember that for folks that are coming up behind you, you are the mentors, right? And so as much as you are working your way up that ladder, I encourage you to lift as you climb, right? So continue to support the folks that are coming up after you when they reach out to you for questions, right? When they email you, when they call, when they engage you as a part of their social network to access your social capital, right? Boom, boom, all these words you just learned. When they do all of that, I encourage you to remember that you have a wealth of knowledge to share to folks that are coming up. And so continue to do what you're doing and continue to look at the folks that are coming up after you and support them on their journey up as well. Because this is amazing. The fact that y'all are here and you can access this program is something that a lot of folks would love to do. So yeah, keep doing that. And I'll stick around for the next couple minutes, but any final questions before we officially close this thing? All right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. I'll move over and see.
Okay, can we get one more round of applause for Dr. Gooding as she makes her way down the stairs? All right, so if you've been following along on our program, you will know that we are in the 4:15 to 4:25 slot, so we're going to start wrapping up for today. To start that process, I want to invite Dr. Tom Keller up to give us some closing remarks, and then after that, I'll give you some more logistical updates to get ready for day 3. So, Dr. Keller?
All right. So today, I mentioned yesterday the solstice. That's today, longest day of sunlight. So we're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes so that you can enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. But I just want to make a few quick comments, and I'll pick up where Anita left off. She used words that I was going to use. She'd mentioned on your journey. And I think that's what this event is all about. It's helping you to get started on this journey to make the most of your time as an undergraduate in pursuing the kind of research that you want to do. And so when you think about going on a journey, there's the motivation, right? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What are your goals? where are you headed? So again, some of our exercises have been focusing on that, helping you to think about your interests, your plans. So the other thing is you want to know what to expect along that journey and when you get there. So we've been trying to share with you what it's like to be a researcher. How do you prepare? What's it going to really be like? So that's part of the puzzle. Then there's the feasibility. Like, can I do this? Can I make it happen? Am I able? Do I, what kind of support do I have? What kind of guides do I need? Things like that. So again, we're trying to show you some glimpses of what these programs are able to offer so that they can help you get engaged in research, support that work, and make sure that you're having good experiences during your undergraduate career. So I think that this is a journey that we're sort of helping you to map out, and again, it's a long journey, and we won't know all the details at the beginning. So we're going to sort of focus on those initial steps. How do you get started on this journey? And that's what Exito is all about. We actually think about the program in two phases. The first year is about preparation, learning all of these things that you don't necessarily get taught in class about professional development, about networking, about all the opportunities there are, and also the expectations for when you actually get into a research setting so that you're well prepared for that. And then the second phase is actually getting in there and doing it. So again, all of those programs that you're learning about are structured to help you have those research experiences. They may be summer programs, they may be scholarship programs, they might be things like URISE, where it's a long-term apprenticeship in a research lab. So again, thinking about your motivations, your expectations, your plans can help you find the right match. Which of these programs is going to give you the kind of experience that you're after. And they're not mutually exclusive, right? You can build Exito the first year and do the enrichment, take some courses, get some mentoring, and that can help you to figure out the next step, which might be McNair or URISE or a summer program. So that's what this is all about. I hope it's sort of coming into focus what you're gaining from this time together. Hopefully you're meeting some great new peers and colleagues, and you're learning that it's easier than you thought to talk to faculty, like we just did. So again, think about those things that you're gaining, whether you're realizing it or not, just by being here for this experience and where it's going to lead you. So I want to thank everybody for your engagement and your enthusiasm, and for everybody who's been helping to make this work, our wonderful staff, and we've had a lot of volunteers come in for things like what we just did, going around the tables. So again, it's a big community that we've formed. We've got a great team, and we're so glad that all of you are now part of it. So thank you.
Okay, so that just leaves us with a little bit of a preview for day 3 of our activities. First thing I want people to make sure they're aware of, we're going to do 2 more rounds of the concurrent sessions like we did today, so that we can learn about some other program options and things like that, because I know you might not have gotten to explore everywhere, so we want to make sure there are lots of opportunities for exploration. That means that you need to keep that schedule of the concurrent sessions and where they were located, because it'll be the same layout tomorrow. So please try to put that in your folder, binder, don't lose it. It'll make things go a little bit quicker tomorrow. Other things for tomorrow, how have folks enjoyed learning about research options and just getting a glimpse into some of the lives of some of these folks? Have people kind of been digging on that part? Okay, good. We got a lot of digging tomorrow. There's going to be some poster presentations. There's going to be some oral presentations. A lot of those are going to be given by students. So I'm sure as much as y'all love to hear from us, sometimes it helps to hear from somebody that's a little bit closer to where y'all are at right now. So we'll give you that opportunity. And then we'll have some activities that are kind of designed around us closing things up and sort of getting a chance to appreciate what everybody's been doing for the last 3 days. So that's our agenda preview for tomorrow. I look forward to seeing y'all for breakfast. Have a good evening. Thanks for coming.